How many covenants are there in the Bible? Well, that all depends who you talk to and kind of the perspective that they see things from. And it also depends on how they interpret scripture and understand how things fit together. So I just want to talk about two major covenants within the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Old Testament. And these are the Abrahamic covenant and the Sinaitic covenant, also known as the Mosaic covenant. So let's start with the Abrahamic. This is a unilateral and unconditional covenant, meaning that Yahweh makes a covenant unilateral. It's one direction, comes from Yahweh down. It doesn't come from Abraham up. So unilateral and unconditional. So Yahweh makes his covenant, he makes a promise, and there's nothing that Abraham has to do to uphold the promise. God always keeps his promises. He never takes back on his gifts. He never changes his mind. God always keeps his promises. So he promises Abraham three things. Number one, he promises him that his descendants will multiply like the stars of the sky and like the sand of the sea. His family will be without number, and they'll become a great and mighty nation. Number two, God promises land where that nation's going to live. And this is called the promised land. So Abraham's family is going to have a land to live in. This is a land grant, and it's an unconditional promise that Yahweh maintains and will uphold forever. And three, Yahweh promises Abraham that through his family, all the families of the earth will be blessed. So every family, every tribe, every people group, every nation is going to receive a blessing through the nation that is Abraham's family, the nation of Israel. Now, let's contrast this with the Mosaic covenant. The Mosaic covenant, also known as the Sinaitic covenant, which I kind of prefer that name a little better, God makes it through Moses to the nation of Israel on Mount Sinai. So it's not just with Moses, it's the nation as a whole, and it's every generation of the nation of Israel who comes after this first generation. So they are required to uphold this covenant because it's a bilateral covenant. It's not just up to God to keep his end, it's up to Israel to keep their end too. So bilateral, two parties are involved, and it's conditional, meaning if then. If you keep the covenant, if you obey me, I will give you blessings. If you disobey me, I'll bring curses. So obedience looks like rest in the land. We hear about rest a lot throughout scripture, and this is really the first place that we can put this back to in the conditional sense. In the if you obey, then you receive rest, meaning no war from your enemies, meaning prosperity, lots of food, good crops, abundance, fertility, that kind of thing. But if they disobey, then they receive cursings, which is going to look like war, like enemies coming in and fighting, like famine and plague and pestilence. And ultimately, if they disobey enough, they're going to be sent out of the land because they're going to be judged by God. So the Mosaic covenant is conditional and bilateral because it's two parties have to uphold both ends of the agreement, Yahweh and the nation of Israel, and it's conditioned on if they obey or if they disobey. The Abrahamic covenant, though, is unconditional and it's unilateral. So it's only up to God to keep his end, and it's unconditional. I hope this clarifies a little bit about those two covenants.